Hey guys, how's it going? This is just my Sharks 2021 season review. Yeah, nothing much else to say. Let's just get straight into it. So normally I'd list off the stats. I'm not going to bother this time because you guys can see it either there or there. I think it'll be on that side. I think. But yeah, the main stat that I want to look at is the tries scored and tries conceded. I should put it in the edit. I'm not sure if I will, just depending on space. But the main thing I want to talk about is that majority of the tries that they scored were in the final 20 minutes of the first half, and then they also conceded only 13 tries in the second 20 minutes of the first half, and then the rest of the game would go on as it did, and so that's really interesting to me because what that says to me is that their subs, their bench players, are top notch. Right? So, normally during a game, after about 15, 20 minutes, your sub players will come on, and that can sort of dictate how the rest of the game will go. And so the fact that they, scored majority of their tries in that second 20 of the first half, and also conceded so little in the second 20 of the first half, it just shows how dominant their subs are, and that's something that a lot of teams don't have. So the fact that the Sharks have it is a very, it's very good for them, obviously. Yeah, other than that, the meters for and against, they're only behind by 100 meters. That's expected for a team that didn't make top 8. 80% completion rate, very good. It's top 3 in the competition, something like that. 200 offloads, it's a bit on the lower end, but with the players they have, they weren't really an offloading sort of side. That's just sort of how they were. They were more of a they're more of a play through the hands, free flowing sort of team where as opposed to a ruck the ball up, get the offload play off the back of it. So the low offloads isn't surprising. The 15 scored from 6 again and 9 conceded from 6 again is actually a bit surprising for me, because I thought it would be more. I thought they would have scored more from 6 agains because, like I said, they're a very structured side. And the way that they break plays down and the way they break their systems down, I feel like, the more repeat sets they get, the more they should score, because they can keep hold of the ball, they just keep grinding it out and, breaking teams down. So I expected that to be a little bit more. I'm not sure how many 6 agains they had. Maybe they just didn't get that many, and that's why it's so low, and it could have been higher if they had more. But yeah, I'm actually a bit surprised by it. I expected that to be a bit more. But yeah, the Knights, what, 9th place, only just didn't make top 8. They're a good team. They're a good team this season. That's all there really is to say. All right. So individuals to talk about. First, I want to talk about the coach. I think it's Josh Hannay or Hannay. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I think he came in and did a very good job as their interim coach, because obviously John Morris got the sack, which I think was warranted. I think it was needed. I think the Sharks just needed a bit of a change, and him going was the change that they needed. So yeah, I think Josh Hannay did a good job. If he's there next year working with Craig Fitzgibbon, I think that will be a very good team. But I know they've lost a few. I'm not 100% sure who they've picked up, but I know they've lost a few important players, like the next person we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, overall, Josh Hannay, I think he did a good job as the interim coach. I think he did it very well. Is he a first grade coach, like a permanent first team coach? I don't think so, not yet. Just because there were times this season where you could see that they were struggling, and in those times where you're struggling, you need the coach to lift you up, and I just don't think he knew how to do that because he'd never done it before. But yeah, good interim coach, good assistant coach. I think, give him a few more years, we could see him being the head coach of somewhere, solid, solid coach, solid team. Right? Next player to talk about is Shaun Johnson. I think he was a big loss for them this year with the amount of time he spent off the field injured. I think he spent half the season out injured. Right? And he's a big player, or he was a big player. Obviously, he's gone back to the Warriors, where he was a big player for them. What was it in the 2020 season? I'm pretty sure he had the most assists, and that was also with injury, where he missed 5 or 6 games because of injury. I'm pretty sure in 2020. So, he's a Shaun Johnson is a phenomenal player. I think he's one of the most, I don't know what the word for it is. I guess, electric playmakers the game has ever seen. Like, obviously, oh, excuse me, very similar to Benji Marshall. Like, you give the ball in his hands, he can run, he can kick, he can pass. You never knew what he was going to do. And I think now that he's gotten a bit older, he's actually just gotten better because he knows when to pick his moments a bit better, I think. Like, when he was first at the Warriors, right, you could see his mentality was always run first. And I think that cost him in moments because there'd be something going on the outside and he'd just, he'd throw a dummy and think, oh, I can do this, I can take him on myself, and he'd screw it all up. But yeah, now with age, I think phenomenal player. I think him going back to the Warriors will be a big asset for them because not only is he like, he is a Warrior. Like he is. The fact that he left was very surprising, but he is a Warriors player, right? And now that he's got a bit more experience, a bit more experience in a different system, I should say, because obviously the Warriors are a very off the cuff sort of team. So now that he's got a bit of experience in a more structured side, and he can bring that to the Warriors, I think not only is that going to be good for the Warriors, but it's also going to be very good for him. If he can stay fit, I think he'll have a fantastic season next year. And if he'd stayed fit this year, I think he would have had a fantastic season this year because, again, he's just a fantastic player. So, yeah, unfortunate that he got injured, but, yeah, fantastic player. And that's the same for this next bloke, Wade Graham. This bloke, if it wasn't for injury, he would be, in my opinion, honestly, one of the top players in the NRL. Like, I think he still is. Like, just with his talent, with his ability, with his skill. Like, he's a second rower that can run, he can kick, he's got a passing game on him. Because what was it? He was a 5'8" that got shifted into second row, I'm pretty sure. I think he was a 5'8" that got shifted into the second row. And just, he's an absolute animal. Like, straight up, if it wasn't for injury, he'd be, for me, one of the top players in the competition. For me, just based off what I know he can do, he is still one of the top players in the comp for me. But, yeah, if he can avoid injury... Like, if he avoids injury this year, I think Sharks make finals instead of, who was it, the Knights. That made it ahead of him. Like, I genuinely think that if Wade Graham didn't get injured, I think Sharks are playing finals instead of the Knights. But, he got injured. He is a bit injury prone, so that's unfortunate. But, yeah, phenomenal player, just needs to sort out his injury situation, Alright, next player is, Aaron Woods. Am I the only one that just thinks Aaron Woods is not that good? Like, I don't understand how he has been an NRL player for the past 4 or 5. Like, even when he was at the Bulldogs, right, I thought he was average to below average at best. Like, when he gets the ball in his hands and he starts running, it's like he's going in slow motion. It's like he's stuck in mud. Like, you'll get forwards that get the ball, they cart it up 10 metres, 10, 15 metres every run. Aaron Woods gets the ball. He runs like 5 metres in what feels like 5 minutes. And it's just like, what the hell's going on here? Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand how he's been in first grade for so long without having been dropped for any sort of reason. Because in my opinion, I think he should be dropped. I don't think he's that great. I think there are younger, more hungry forwards that would just offer a lot more than he can, than he does. I'm pretty sure Aaron Woods has signed with someone else next year. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think he has. But yeah, like, I don't know. Aaron Woods, for me, he just doesn't seem that good. Like, who knows? Maybe at training, maybe just his leadership behind the scenes or something is why he has the position he has. But yeah, just like off his on-field, style and play, I don't understand how he's there. But yeah, it is what it is. I think he's a bit overrated, but other people might think differently, and that's fine. Alright, next is Blake Brailey. I think he has the potential to be one of the best hookers in the comp. I think already he's shown that he has an excellent passing game. He's got a decent running game. If he can up his running game a bit, I think he would be phenomenal. But the big thing for me with Blake Brailey is I think he needs to build his kicking game. If he can build a decent kick, it doesn't have to be world class, top of the line kicking game or anything like that. But if he can build a decent kicking game for himself, there's no reason he can't be playing like Origin or something, right? Like he is a phenomenal player. I'm pretty sure he's New South Welshman. I think. I'd have to look it up. I'm not 100% sure. I think he is. Like, I think both of them are. I think both the brothers are. And so if he is a New South Welshman, if he can learn a bit of a kicking game and upgrade his running game a little bit, then for me he's the perfect successor to like Damien Cook, because Yeah, Brailey, like he's got the vision, he's got the passing game. I think he's a phenomenal player. Yeah, obviously, I think he's only played, 55 games, 60 games, something like that. So he's still got a long time, a lot of experience to earn. Like, he's only 23, so he's got a long way to go in his career, and he started it fantastically. Like, I think he's a phenomenal hooker. And he can only go up from here, in my opinion. And last is probably the Sharks' best player this year, Will Kennedy. He had a bit of a breakout year this year. Like, obviously, he's been in their team since, I think, 2018. He's sort of been in and out of the side, like filling in here and there where they've needed him. But this year, he was finally given his opportunity to say, like, you're fullback. This is your position now. Earn it, own it. And he did. Like, I think he was fantastic this year. One of the best fullbacks in the comp for me. Just, not only on an individual level, like, he had a lot of individual moments and individual plays where you'd sit there and look at him and be like, oh man, yeah, this guy is a real player. Like, this guy is serious. But then also just what he did for the team. Like, the amount of times where he'd sorry, my back's a bit itchy. Sorry. Yeah, like the amount of times where he would create opportunities for the people outside him, inside him. Like, yeah, phenomenal player. I think, again, another player that if the Sharks can keep a hold of him, they can build around. Like, if they can keep Kennedy and Brailey and build around those two, like get in some good halves. I don't know who their halves are going to be next year, because obviously Sean Johnson's gone. I can't remember I know they signed someone. I can't think of who it is off the top of my head. But, I know they signed someone. I can't think of who it is off the top of my head. But, if they can build a side around, those players like, Kennedy, Brailey, whoever they brought in for half, I can't remember who it is, but whoever they brought in for halfback, and then I'm assuming Moylan will probably be 6, I'd assume. Like, that is a good, strong core. And if you can build around that, then by all means they can be a top 8 side next year. And, that's where I think they should probably end up next year, is top 8. But, only time will tell. But yeah, Will Kennedy, phenomenal player. I think, yeah, future superstar in my eyes. Like, if he keeps playing the way he is, body on the line, putting his heart into everything, there's no reason he can't be one of the top fullbacks in the comp. Alright. And then overall thoughts on the season. It was an expected season. I thought they'd be one of those teams fighting for the top 8. I did think they would miss out. I thought they'd come 10th. I'm pretty sure in my prediction I thought they'd come 10th. So expected season. I think at key moments during the season, a bit of laziness really cost them. Like, I talked about him before, Aaron Woods. Like, it seems like he's just stuck in the mud no matter what he's doing. There were times where, like, all he'd have to do was make a tackle, but he was so poorly out of position because he was being lazy on the inside or the outside that they just, clean swept straight through. Aaron Woods isn't the only one that did that. I know Moylan did it a couple times. Dugan did it a few times when he was in the side at the start of the season. There's someone else off the top of my head. I can't think of who it is. It was one of their second rowers or their lock. I can't think of who it is off the top of my head. But yeah, like, just lazy plays and lazy plays at key moments really cost them this season. And yeah, like, I don't know if that's just specifically those players or if that's a full team mentality thing, because you could see there were players that were putting in the effort. Oh, excuse me. 100% effort every single time, and then there were some that just sort of like were there to be there. But yeah, lazy plays, I think ultimately cost them making finals, as well as a few injuries here and there to key players. All right, and then lastly, Fitzgibbon as the coach next year. This will either be a masterstroke or a massive failure. Like, they will either be, in my eyes, they will either be top 8 or they will be fighting against the spoon. That's just my thought process of it. I think Fitzgibbon is a talented coach. Like, he's been the assistant coach at the Roosters for a while. He's been helping out Freddie Fittler in the New South Wales system for a long time. I think he's the defensive coach for New South Wales, or was. Obviously, I don't think he'll be doing it now because he's coaching the Sharks, obviously. But he was. So, like, the pieces are all there for Fitzgibbon and the Sharks next year to push on for the top 8. It's just all going to depend on if Fitzgibbon can sort of, I don't want to say assert himself because I don't think that's the right word, but yeah, I guess, assert himself as the leader of that Sharks locker room, of that dressing room, right? If he can do that, by all means, I think they are a top 8 side next year, but, if he can't do that, then I don't think they have the players to make the top 8 on their own. I think they'd be lower down the league. But yeah, I think they'll be 9th, 8th again next year. Maybe even 7th. Might push ahead of like someone like the Knights or something like that. But yeah, only time will tell for next season. So yeah. Alright. But yeah, so that's my Shark season review. Again, with all these, let me know if there's anything you think I should add, take out. I'm happy to do whatever. I just do this for a bit of fun. But yeah, with that said, guys, take it easy. I hope you all had a good Christmas and a good New Year. And yeah, take it easy, guys. Have a good day.